And to get us some perspective, we are now being joined by Faith Pino, national political reporter for the Los Angeles Times. Faith, good to see you. Thank you so much for joining us here on this broadcast.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
I was just speaking about the swing states, and you are actually neighboring two of them. Why don't you tell me what's happening in the swing states?
Yeah, so I'm based in California, which is right next to Arizona and Nevada. I've spent a bit of time this year in both of the states, most recently in Arizona. And it's really quite a difference. California is a very deeply blue Democratic state. And so, Kamala Harris is, unless something crazy happens, almost assuredly going to win here. But when you go to Arizona and you talk to people, I mean, it's like every other person you talk to is from a different party. And as you noted, both presidential candidates have spent a lot of time in these states. Slightly less time out here on the West Coast because it's pretty far from a lot of the swing states over on the East Coast. But President Trump was in Tempe, Arizona, as you noted last night. He has very close ties with some of the political activists there who are running essentially the Republican ground game in the state. And then Kamala Harris has been targeting a lot of niche demographic groups in Arizona. So I reported on how her campaign is targeting Native Americans, Mormon voters, these sort of smaller identity groups that could make up just enough of a margin for them to swing the state.
Right, you rightly pointed out that swing states, of course, is extremely crucial to these elections. I also want to point out to the undecided voters in the swing states. In Arizona, Wisconsin, North Carolina, that number stands at about 4.6%. Now, Georgia has 4.5%, same for Pennsylvania. Michigan has 5.3%, and lastly, Nevada has 5.4%. In case you came across any of the undecided voters, what did you hear?
Yeah, as you're noting with these numbers, it's really quite a small number. I think it was perhaps even smaller when President Biden was at the top of the ticket because we know these candidates, right? President Trump has been around in the U.S. Political scene for over 8 years now, and Kamala Harris has been vice president for a while. So people, for the most part, know how they feel about these candidates. The folks that I've spoken to, they know these people, and it comes down to just having one last thing push them over the edge. One of the undecided voters that I spoke to had actually just registered to vote for the first time. He was 24 years old in Arizona, and his girlfriend convinced him that he needed to vote because it was an important election, and this was their responsibility as citizens. And, he was just kind of up in the air, like, well, I don't know too much yet about both of the candidates, which to me just meant that he hadn't really been tuning into the kind of information that the candidates are giving, because election news in the US is all over, and you really can't escape it in these swing states either. I mean, there's ads on the radio, on the television, in print. It's just inescapable. So I think some of the last undecided voters have just been probably tuning it out up till this point. Or they're waiting, like I said, for that kind of final straw to push them over the edge.
Faith, I would love to speak to you more, but I'm completely out of time. I look forward to speaking to you again. Thank you so much for your insights.
Thanks, you're welcome.
For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.